Hello viewers, welcome to my first ever race at my home circuit, Brands Hatch. I've been given the opportunity to race alongside none other than Grand Tour test driver Abbie Eaton in Alex Brundle's Ford Mustang from 1965. This is going to be my first time racing it, and my first time racing it here at Brands.
It's one of the best circuits in the UK, but it's also one of the most daunting, so just build up to it. You know, out the back is like nothing. Oh, you've done Nordschleife, haven't you?
Done Nordschleife, yeah.
It's kind of like that out the back.
Okay.
All right, so you'll be fine. You'll be right at home.
My race suit was a bit broken, so I've had to borrow this one. It might be a bit tight. Yeah, very aerodynamic. So here we go then, onto the track for the first time. There's a lot to learn around here with this car, with this circuit. It's not an easy track to get right, but it is an honour to be here for the first time driving it, as I grew up very close by. So into the first corner, the famous Paddock Hill bend. Not an easy track, not an easy corner to get right at all, with a massive elevation change. I don't know if the camera does it quite justice, how steep that corner is. We're trying to get used to a combination of things here, namely of course the heeling and towing on the downshifts, a relatively new technique for me. A couple of cars go through here, so just for reference, this is a qualifying session, about half an hour long, and also a practice session if you like. I mean, I'm trying to get used to the car and the track in the qualifying session effectively. And on this back straight towards Hawthorns, the quickest part of the track, the car really does move. This car is very quick in a straight line, there's no question about that. So don't be fooled by the fact that it's an old car. It is incredibly fast. I would say the weakness is probably on the brakes. You do have to brake very early, and that is a key difference I'm having to get used to compared to driving a GT4 car around Germany, around the Nordschleife. You do have to brake incredibly early in this thing. And so adjusting my references is high on the priority list here. Of course, we are also trying to set as fast a lap as possible. Now, my main priority really was just to get used to the car and the track, but I was getting quicker and quicker through the session. This is a good comparison between the Mustang and the Cortina there. The Ford Cortina much better in the corners on the brakes, but the Mustang really fast on the straight as we go past another Mustang here. So I was going quicker and quicker. At the beginning I was getting overtaken by a few cars, and then as the session settled down it was a bit more the other way around. I was overtaking more cars. And so that was a good sign. I was going in the right direction. I therefore kind of presumed that I was more than halfway up the order in terms of pace. As we go past this other Cortina here, into this very difficult turn 4 at Brands Hatch. It's such a long corner, and given the way that this car handles, it does take an age seemingly to go through it. Drag race down the back straight, really fun here. And we are going to overpower this car. The Mustang is so fast in a straight line as we go through. Now, I didn't know exactly what position I was in at this point, but I was feeling confident, I was feeling strong, as Abbie was going to go out for her half of the session and see if she could improve upon our qualifying time. I think I was about P9 in qualifying there. I don't know how many cars are in the field, but top 10 in the first time around the GP. I think we're going to take it. What a track. When you go down that back straight, down the dip, I don't know how quick I'm going, there's no gauge, but it feels very fast. But yeah, that was a mega experience. That was so good. It was then the turn of Abbie to go and set a time in qualifying. With time running out, we had to get a good time on the board. We were currently in 9th, so let's see what Abbie can do. Now, of course, Abbie, incredibly experienced as a racing driver, not only in modern race cars, but also in historic race cars. So I knew that I had a very capable teammate. In fact, the organisers classed her as an elite driver, meaning that we would have a 10-second penalty in the race. It's just something they do to potentially balance out the race. So during the pit stop we'd have to stop for an extra 10 seconds. So that's something we'd have to take note of. But looking at this lap and looking back at this footage, there's much to learn from Abbie. As I say, very experienced, and so it's always a good idea to ask for advice and tips from someone who's driven the track and the car a lot more than you have. So after a few laps, Abbie sets, interestingly, an identical lap time to myself.
You've got to be happy with that.
Yeah?
I mean, considering how much time you
First time ever on that track.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I think what, second time in the car?
Yeah. That's alright.
I mean, yeah.
Good.
Yeah, really good.
Happy with it.
Congratulations.
How was it?
All right, good. I
Yeah.
kept fucking up. And I was like, yeah, I've got a good lap. And then I'd fucking miss a gear change. Or
Oh, yeah.
had that weird jumpy thing on the brakes.
Oh, yeah, I had that quite a lot. It's like if it goes slightly sideways, it just does it, I think.
Yeah.
Qualified 11th overall. So not too bad for our first ever time, really, around this track in this car. So I'm happy with it, and what an experience it was. So Abbie and I just had a look at some data. Exactly the same lap time in qualifying, 49.18. So we're well matched. There's definitely pace in it. I think we can both improve by more than a second, so there's time to come. But that's just qualifying. Up next is the race. Abbie's out. We've just left the pit lane. Rolling start. Lots of anticipation. Hopefully, we just want to get through this cleanly. Hopefully, I can pick up the car with no damage. A couple of positions gained, maybe. This is always the scary bit, always the scary bit. To be honest, it's probably scarier watching than it is being in the car. Sometimes when you're in the car, you just get the adrenaline and you can go for it. But here we go. Race starts. 1 hour of racing ahead of us. I'm going to pick up the car halfway through the race. And the lights go green. The race begins. 11th on the grid. You can see just how congested this is and how many different cars there are. We have Cortinas, we have Mustangs, we have Minis, and we have Ford Falcon as well. So lots of different cars. You're going to see the different dynamics here of how they perform. Up into Druids, taking the outside line, just trying to keep it nice and clean and tidy. Not easy to do because these cars are quite big and floaty. Unlike the Mini, which flies up the inside there with its very good handling and braking. Abbie kind of blocked off here, not able to really capitalise on the car's power as we go through turn 4. Mustang on the outside. Can we capitalise now on the car straight line speed? Not quite here. Just has to check up on the power momentarily. As we go down the dip into Hawthorns, that Mini is going to fly back through on the right hand side and then actually go and get 3 more overtakes in the same corner. The Mini is actually quite unbelievable to watch. It is so quick in the corners compared to the Mustang. We are actually going to have some contact here with the Mustang in front, and I think Abbie just checking here to make sure the car is actually still turning. It is. We can continue. So a bit of a brief touch. Car seems unscathed, although we can't quite see if the damage is there on the front left corner. All she can do is just keep continuing to race and see if we can gain back some positions. We've lost 1 on this opening lap. Now the car in front is actually going to go for a move on the Cortina. Not really make it stick on the inside and actually understeer wide completely into the gravel. And that is so easy to do, I can assure you of that. These cars, very much unlike the GT4s, you have to be really careful with how you brake and where you brake. Now this shows you the difference between the Mustang and the Cortina. It was actually really difficult to get this overtake done. The Mustang is so quick in the straight line, but the Cortina much better on the brakes and into the corner. So you'd think that move is done. But no, the Cortina comes flying back through and we are re-overtaken. This time, lap 4, 3rd time lucky, we get the move done. Well, Abbie gets the move done, I'm saying we, but it's definitely her doing this, not me at all. She gets the move done, car is not able to fly back through. What about the Mini though? This was quite incredible, look at this. She goes up the inside, the Mini's having none of it, flying back around the outside. It's almost like he didn't brake for that corner. It's actually quite wild to watch. Lap number 7 now, P10 looking for P9. Easily sailing by the Mini, this time by just enough that she can cover the inside and hope that the Mini behind can't return the favour. Okay, up to 10th. Only... oh, 9th now, yeah? Gained another one. So Abbie was flying through the positions and lining up this Mini quite close to the end of her stint. So getting another move done here, moving up into 8th. Started 11th, now 8th, so slowly moving forward. We do have the 10-second elite driver penalty, so we're going to lose a few positions there, so I'm going to have to fight back a little bit when I go out there. The pace is good. She's going quicker than we went in qualifying yesterday, so car looks good, lapping quicker than some of the cars in front, so there's a chance for more positions. So roughly halfway into the race, Abbie pulls in. We are now going to do the driver swap, and it's my turn to drive the Mustang into the race. We did have to serve the 10-second penalty there, of course, and so as I rejoin the circuit on lap 16, we are in 14th position, and therefore we have some work to do. I had quite a lot of clear air in front, and you can see actually a yellow flag. Not sure exactly what that was. As you come through here, you see there's a car retired, and so we're going to gain 1 position from that. Attrition is definitely something to consider in this race. You know, these are old cars, and therefore with 28 cars starting, you're not always going to get 28 finishes. It'd be miraculous to get that, actually. I did find myself, though, gaining on a couple of cars in front, as you can see here. Really pushing the track limits on the exit of turn 3. As we head into turn 4, again, this is a really tricky one to get right. Just trying to get this late apex and try to square the corner off slightly to get on the power to really maximise the straight line speed. Before we see a safety car. Now, of course, as I said, lots of cars retiring from the race, sometimes not parked in suitable position on the circuit. And so in order to recover them, we have to wave the safety car flag and the yellow flag. We all slowed down. Actually, this guy in front opening his door for a bit of ventilation. And it must be said that, yes, it did get a little bit warm in this car. It was quite hard work. It was actually incredibly hard work. You have to be in relatively good shape. But eventually, the safety car flag was retracted and the race was back underway. I was able to get a move immediately on this Cortina into Paddock Hill Bend. That one felt good. I knew that my mum was watching and she was actually stood there at Paddock Hill Bend, so did that one for mum. Up the inside, back to 11th place. Going to whip it forward slightly. Up behind this almighty boat of a car. I mean, look at the size of it. It really is quite a chunky old thing. And here, getting the back end around. I kind of chucked this one up the inside for a bit of a late move. Car kind of shuddered with the improper technique on the brakes, but got the move done. So I'm not going to really care too much as we then move up to 10th. As you can see, a bit of a gap to the cars in front. It actually opened up quite quickly because of the safety car, or after the safety car. But I did at least have someone to aim for. So I had about 10 laps left at this point, and so plenty to aim for. Coming through turn 1, you can see a bit of a gap to me. There we are. And it looks pretty cool seeing the Mustang fly through there, down the hill, back up the other side into Druids, as the Cortina in front actually locks up. Gives me a bit of a hope that I can catch up. It did take some time, as we're going to whip it forward slightly. It took quite a few laps, actually. This was a nice phase of the race. I felt like the car was going off. With the brakes especially. You had to be really careful with the brakes. Especially for an hour. You know, this car is trying to last an hour. And it's from 1960s. And look at that. Probably my biggest mistake of the race. A huge lockup into turn 1. Probably about 100 metres long. And so I'm really pushing. Maybe a bit too hard. And just not considering the wear of the car. As the race goes on, I do have to be a bit more considered with how I drive it. You can't drive it the same on lap 24 as you can on lap 1. But by lap 25, as you can see, I had caught up with this group in front. I did feel as though I was quicker. It just took a bit of time to catch up. So coming up into Druids, again another lockup from the Cortina in front. So plenty of lockups now, as everyone's car beginning to wear out. Looking up the inside here, is this guy going to be shaken off of the line? Not quite. I'm just trying to engineer an opening. It's not quite going to happen here into turn 4. That would have been a brave move. That's quite far back. But given my experience now of the difference between the Mustang and the Cortina, this should be a done deal. As we then get on the power, it takes a bit of time to really get going. Bit of a half block there from the Cortina, but we do go through up into 9th. are they able to reply here? I'm going to cover the inside, make it a bit more tricky for them. And that's a position gain. We still see that there's plenty of cars immediately in front that I think I can get past. Next up, the Mustang. So obviously the same car as what I'm driving, but seemingly down on power. So I was looking up the inside there, just thought, okay, we seem to have a bit more speed than this guy. I don't know if the car's been tuned better or if it's just dying of the heat, something like that, I don't know. All that matters to me is, well, can I just get the position? I'm going to size up a nice move here into Paddock Hill Bend, and again, this feels really good getting this move done into this corner, into this famous corner, and making it stick. It's going to be a double overtake as the car in front kind of forgets that there's a corner there, just goes way off into the gravel, and that is me up into 7th place. So we've gained 7 positions from coming out of the pit lane, and I sense that there's possibly a 6th place on the cards. We have the Cortina there, and then Nick Swift, a very famous Mini driver in P6. I'm going to try and catch up with him. Now I knew here that the move would have to come into this corner, into Hawthorns. That's where it would have to be, because that car is so good on handling, it's almost impossible to do it anywhere else. And so I just really had to get a lot closer than I did there. And even if I did get past, there's a very good chance that they would get back through. The Cortina there in P5, the Mini in P6. Both cars that have better handling than mine. And therefore it's not going to be easy. Let's put it that way. You'd think that with much better straight line speed, it's an easy proposition to get through, but actually kind of proved to not be the case. I just never quite got close enough. I didn't really go for that move because I just knew that even if I went alongside or slightly ahead, he would just fly back through. And so it wasn't really worth the risk. But it was impressive watching that Mini. The way it drifts through the corners is actually quite insane. And I had the best ticket in the house, best seat in the house to watch it. And by lap 31, you can see here, I really felt like the car was going off. Some warning lights flashing, one of the dashes flashing blue there. So you're having to manage the car for sure. And it just began to fade away slightly. And I just thought, you know what, let's just bring the car home. Let's just make sure that we just have a nice finish to the race. We've had a good battle. We don't want to risk anything stupid. It's more about the enjoyment of the racing. And I must say, again, a massive thank you to Alex Brundle for giving me this opportunity to race at my home circuit in such an amazing car, and eventually finishing in a very satisfying P7.
I am knackered, but that was so much fun. I've always wanted to race around here since I was a kid, so that was an honour. I think this was on lap 1. Abbie went into a 3-into-1 situation and a bit of contact, so the car was a little bit damaged there. It made it through to the end though. We made it through to the end. But there we go, guys, the end of the race. What an honour to race at my home track after many years. The Ford Mustang made it to the end. We made it into 7th position out of 28, which is pretty good, I think, for my first race. Thank you, Brundle. Thank you, Abbie Eaton, for being a great teammate. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Goodbye.